So, some kid from Pennsylvania took a shot at Trump with his AR-15 from about 100 yards away, about 400 feet. That's what they're saying. Um, Many issues here with right away, right away, as if on cue. The Republican MAGA right wing Christian extremists, which is what Trump represents, started with their lies and their conspiracy theories about. I saw one about saying that JFK Jr. was present in the JFK's son who got killed in an accident, an aircraft accident. Now they're already saying that, and it's just wild how fast. There was some guy. I don't think he's even in the United States that got blamed for shooting at Trump. It's just open season. There's no limit to how many lies the right wing MAGA extremists will tell. So, and now, of course, as if on cue, the right wing, but the leadership of the today's Republican Party, who I call the modern Republican Party, as the fourth. I call them the Fourth Reich, because look at all the policies that them done. There's voter suppression, openly voter suppression. Misogynist. They've destroyed the women's rights, voters' rights. They've given complete immunity. They've turned the presidency into a king. They've given whatever, if the president decides to order the assassination of his political opponents and jailing them while he's on duty, performing his duties because he says that he thinks they're a threat to national security. No problem. Nothing happens to the president. They just dropped the charges against Trump in the documents case with his political appointee, Judge Cannon. So it's just an authoritarian regime. What's coming if Trump gets elected? They're already determining, that they're already calling out, saying that the Trump, the next election, which is not until November, they're already claiming that it's rigged. They haven't even started the election. That they'll never accept that Trump lost the last election, even though he got 7 million votes less. They're rigging, they continue their gerrymandering, which is granting Republican districts a lot more power than Democratic districts. In you see all this right wing Republicans, but I don't even differentiate it anymore, because I think there's only like 3 Republican politicians. As far as I know, there are maybe three to 5 that have spoken up against Trump, and there already calls for them to be tried for treason, and the punishment for treason is death penalty. So they're basically calling for the assassination of Liz Cheney and the rest of the handful of Republicans who have dared speak against Trump. So now they have the Republicans, most of the prominent MAGA Republicans, everybody kissing Trump's ass. The Trump cult, they're saying that this is the fault of the Democrats. I don't know how they can go from the Democratic progressive people saying that Trump is and not just even the progressive, the world, uh, the educated world opinion about Donald Trump and his cult is that they're a threat to democracy. That's just not the opinion of a couple of people. This people, I don't know, people all of a sudden they're gaslighting, and they think we're stupid. They think we didn't see the violent attack against the United States Capitol, ordered and instigated by Donald Trump, telling his supporters to go meet at the Capitol and fight like hell. These are the same people who built gallows and nooses to hang Mike Pence, holding signs up to assassinate and murder Mike Pence. Those people were in there to go kill Mike Pence and murder Nancy Pelosi openly. And people texting Donald Trump, asking him, call them back, tell them to go home. And him refusing to. And then having the audacity of saying that Nancy Pelosi is to blame for January 6th violence. And then having some of his sycophants say that it was a tourist visit. I don't know if, what tourist visits use flagpoles with metal tips as spears against police officers. Mind you, these are the so-called party of law and order, right? Remember that. This is the party of law and order who's stabbing police officers, pepper spraying, getting barricades and hitting the police officers with those barricades. There's one of them that got killed by them. They went in that building in the United States Capitol to stop the peaceful transfer of power from one president to the other, democratically elected. They filed 61 lawsuits. They all failed. A lot of these lawsuits were filed in front of Republican judges that were appointed by Trump. They threw him out. It was an overwhelming ass whooping against Donald Trump. This is the same guy and the same people who were making fun of Paul Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi's husband. There was a political opponent that broke into Paul Pelosi's house to assassinate, to murder Paul Pelosi, because of all the hatred and all the kill Nancy Pelosi and all the hatred and the vitriol coming out of Republicans, especially from Donald Trump. And after this guy, you see him on the video, hit him, an old 80-year-old man, an elderly man, on the head with a hammer, and you see Paul Pelosi on the floor, gasping for air, dying. You see Donald Trump making fun of that. And you see Donald Trump's son made a shirt and memes of underwear with some shit mocking Paul Pelosi's assassination attempt, because they came up with another conspiracy theory saying that this attacker was an homosexual lover of Paul Pelosi, and he was angry at him and he went to kill him in a fit of jealousy. They made this shit up and openly spread it to the press. These are the Christian family values, pro law enforcement people. Allegedly, this is what these people peddle. Hate. This is the same guy who stood up there and mocked Paul Pelosi's assassination attempt, who's been calling to shoot So their term, illegal aliens, which is the dehumanization term used by right-wingers against people coming into the United States asking for help, running for their lives from being persecuted to death in their nations. And when they believe the ethos that's bring us, you're tired and you're persecuted and everything that the Constitution says, they call them, now they openly, the Republican, this is Donald Trump calling people who are seeking asylum openly, saying that they're invaders, they're murderers, that they're rapists, that they're drug dealers, and then some of them might be good people. This is the rhetoric coming from the grandson of a pimp, right? Who was a con man who got kicked out of Europe because he refused to go in the service, to sign up for a service. I guess it runs in the family, this draft dodging, the so-called patriots who dodge draft by falsely claiming that they have some heel spur or something, yet they golf every day. Anyways, so the same people who ordered little babies and kids to be ripped from Latino parents at the border desperately seeking help, desperate for just food and water, and not so that won't be killed by violence, political violence in their countries, which has a lot to do with the United States foreign policy for the last gazillion years of supporting brutal dictatorships in Central and South America. You know, Salvador Allende is just one of them from Chile. You know, then us financing brutal dictators like Augusto Pinochet and the rest of the atrocities that we have financed in Central South America. Of course, without the knowledge of the people. These are covert operations, but the Salvador Allende one was not a covert operation. You know, so you know, you got to take this. All of a sudden, somebody took a shot at Donald Trump, and you know, by the way, it was a white kid with an AR-15, registered Republican. Okay? Why? And I keep saying it, you know, this is going to come back and haunt the people who are defending the availability, the unfettered, the unchecked availability of weapons of war in the streets to anyone who wants to buy them, because there are loopholes around the background checks at gun shows. They don't want to close them. So, you know, it cuts both ways. It doesn't matter, you know, who you... People say, oh, but it sounds like you're supporting Donald Trump getting shot at. No. Are you not listening? Are you not listening? I don't want anyone to get shot. I don't want any of these people to get murdered. You know, because Donald Trump's a piece of shit. Sure, he's a piece of shit. I don't want him getting murdered. I know he got kids, man. He got grandkids like everybody. We don't have to kill people if we don't disagree with them. We don't have to do that. That's just we can't go back to, you know, tribalism. If you disagree with the man's positions and the man's actions, who by the way, this pro-life people sure as fuck like killing people. They don't give a shit. Because if they gave a shit, they will stop forcing women to have back alley abortions. Because with their abortion bans, what happens is when a woman, if it's 6 weeks pregnant and the fetus dies inside of her, now she can't go to a hospital and say, hey, I need an abortion because the fetus died. The doctors can't touch her until the fetus starts rotting inside of her. You can't touch her. because they'll file charges on the doctor for murder. So the medical decisions are now being made because of the Republican Christian extremists and this Supreme Court, who, by the way, they lied. They lied under oath. They were under oath, all of them. They asked them in their confirmation hearings, will you uphold Roe versus Wade? I do solemnly swear that I'm going to tell the truth. And they all said they would. What did they do? They lied. They overturned it. So how come those people, by the way, this is the same people who are getting gifts, millions and millions of dollars in gifts from the people that have business in front of the court, and they're not recusing themselves and then ruling in favor of the people who gave them millions of dollars? This is corrupt. These people are corrupt. You want to talk about people saying, oh, the Democrats are turning the United States into a third world country. I'm sorry. Have you not heard what's going on? You guys were your corrupt. Now they said that all the experts in every agency in the United States, they don't know shit. So when there's doubt in decisions about, like, say, the EPA fines a company, and the ultimate decision, if the statute is not clear, the experts, the environmental scientists who have PhDs and experience with the environment, and if it's not clear, they're not going to use these experts to determine whether dumping cyanide-laced chemicals from Chevron into our drinking water, they're not going to rely. The last word is not going to be, if the statute is unclear, the last word is not going to be decided by experts that are supposed to protect the people. The last word is going to be decided by corrupt judges that can take contributions. Everybody knows it's a bribe. Now they're calling them tips, gratuities. They're calling them gratuities. So you can tip your judge $10 million after he rules for you, and it's not considered a bribe. This is what this Supreme Court decided. This is and now you tell me that because the Democrats are telling the world that democracy is at stake, because it is, because they just determined that the president of this nation is immune from prosecution if he is in office and he orders the assassination, or he orders SEAL Team 6 to go assassinate his opponents, or he orders his supporters to go take over the Capitol like Donald Trump did, and not certify the election. So you see where we're at. They determined that it's legal for Brian Kemp, the racist Republican Christian governor of Georgia, to make it illegal to hand voters by the way, he closed, I think it was like 350 polling places in predominantly black neighborhoods in Georgia to make it more difficult for black people to vote. And on top of that, he made it illegal. Him and his Republican thugs, made it illegal to give water to those people who stood in line for 10 hours because they closed most of the polling places in Georgia. So he went and said, that's illegal. If I can arrest you in Georgia, if you go and take water to those voters and say, hey, here, you've been standing here, an elderly person under the sun who's about to pass out from heat stroke and die because they want to exercise their right to vote, you take them a bottle of water, you get arrested. The Supreme Court said that's fine. This is where we're at. This is why the Democrats are crying, hey, democracy's at stake. The whole fucking thing is corrupt. And they've made it corrupt. The Republicans have gone, they're pushed back. Now they're talking about taking no-fault divorce out of the books and forcing people to go through some type of religious fucking test to see if the state or the church allows it to get divorced. So they're just keeping pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. They banned over 3,000 books in the state of Florida here. They banned books because they made a law that says that if what you're saying in if you teach kids about the truth, the historical truth of the atrocities committed against my black and Native American ancestors, if that makes white kids uncomfortable, you can't talk about it in Florida schools. So they removed 3,000 books from the schools in Florida. They banned them. And then they're telling us, the typical right-wing, gaslighting, oh, we didn't ban them. Okay, they're not banned. Why did you take them out and prohibit them from getting back in? That's a ban. They banned books about our baseball superstar, Roberto Clemente. Are you kidding me? The Puerto Rican black superstar, Roberto Clemente. The book banned about him, about his life, because it talked about the atrocities that he had to suffer, the horrendous racism that he suffered during his time in the major leagues. One of the most biggest superstars in the history of baseball, Roberto, who died taking food and aid to the people in Nicaragua. When his plane took off from the airport in Puerto Rico, it was overloaded and it fell into the sea, into the Atlantic Sea, and he died. He was on his way to take food for people desperate people in Nicaragua after an earthquake had destroyed Nicaragua. This man died a hero, and they took his book from the books in schools in Florida. And you want to tell me now that, see, and I hear that people, the insanity of people of what they're saying, about all the horrendous lies that they're saying about, the horrendous lies about the Democrats do what? Which Democrat is calling for the assassination of President Trump? Please enlighten me. Enlighten me. So whenever you tell people the truth, when you tell them what they're doing, and they're putting democracy in danger, somehow sounding the alarm with facts of what they're doing, what they've done, and what they're planning to do to destroy whatever's left of the United States democracy, that's a call for the assassination of Donald Trump? No, man, I'm not doing that. You're the ones doing, I'm not a Democrat. I'm not certain as fuck not a Republican, not in this fucking modern Republican Party. Maybe when Eisenhower was alive, if you look at Eisenhower's platform, right? If you look at Eisenhower's platform, it looks exactly like Bernie Sanders' platform. Exactly like Bernie. So if I had been alive during Eisenhower's, campaign, I would have voted. I don't think I would have been allowed to vote. See, that's people keep going out. Well, we should go back to the 1960s, where segregation was still around. When my grandpa, my black Puerto Rican grandpa, went to in the 50s when he was in New York, and my white Puerto Rican grandma, they went to see a play, and there was a sign prominently displayed right next to the ticket sales booth that said, "No niggers, no spics, no dogs." And I can use that word because this is not a tan. I come from black people. I come from Native American people. So that's the time that people, this MAGA Republicans want to go back to. You see? I don't want to go back there. You can go back there if you want. Maybe you can go, back to Europe. You see? And then they're talking about taking away the citizenship birthright that's granted by the Constitution to all people who are born here. But they want to go back and say, no, if you're born of an undocumented migrant, they want to take your constitutional right of citizenship away from you. AKA, if you look like me and you come from Latin America and you have a child here in the States, even though the Constitution says that child is a citizen, they want to take that right away. Yeah? Just, these people are Nazis. See what they did. Donald Trump ordered the kids being taken kidnapped from mothers and fathers at the border with his family separation rule. And then they denied doing it. See, they do something, they deny doing it, and then they accuse the other side of that of which they are guilty. All right? Exactly like the Nazi minister of propaganda did. They paraded Jewish people that they caught doing some crime. They paraded in front of the media and said, see, look what the Jews are doing. They're still, cheering and using the 2 or 3 people who committed a crime that came from South America as examples to classify the entire continent. Oh, did you see Donald Trump speaking in his what? You want to talk about violent rhetoric? Fight like hell? These people are invading us? Calling, migrants, tell them that they're murderers? That they're poisoning the blood of our nation? You want to talk about riling up people and tell them that what do you think is happening? What do you think he's doing? He wants them dead. These people are violent extremists, Nazis. This is what they are. And, if you want people, we have one shot in November. Register to vote and vote all of these racist Nazis out. And they think that because they got a couple of token black people speaking their insanity to us, that it's always been like that. There's always been people. They did it in Puerto Rico, and they hired people from Puerto Rico to commit massacres against the Puerto Rican people, ordered by the United States government. They did that. The Ponce massacre. Not one person of all those people ordered by the United States government to massacre unarmed people protesting the atrocities committed by the United States government against Puerto Rico. Not one of those people who committed those atrocities was even charged. Nothing happened. Nothing. For about 50 some odd years after the United States invaded, 1898, invaded Puerto Rico militarily. For about 50 some odd years, they installed military dictators in Puerto Rico. You see? So this business, they said, what does that have to do with anything? I'm just telling you the way it used to be. What they want to go back to. Again, make America great again. For who? When the fuck was it great? And people say, oh, you hate America. I am American. Anybody who's born in the American continent is an American. You want to say make the United States great again? Fantastic. When was it great for everyone? So the people who disagree with the premise that the United States was great in 1950, 1960, 1910, 1920, 1940, the people who disagree with that premise that the United States used to be great in the 1960s, those people hate America? Is that what you're saying? You see the logic of you're either agreeing with all this shit that we're saying or you're our enemy. So you gotta, every time there's a violent rhetoric coming from the right wing, they're just patriotic. And this is not gonna stop. I wish it would stop and people would stop and say, wait a minute, this makes no sense. These people are nuts. They're really, really crazy. They're in a cult. Because when COVID came, this guy came out and said, oh, it's a hoax. We're not going to close. And here comes his followers. Yeah, we're gonna exercise our freedom, and we're going to church. I said, put a mask on. I'm not gonna be muzzled. You're spreading the fucking thing and killing your neighbors in church. The 80-year-old lady who's went, one of my father figures, he got caught up in that cult. He died, man. He got caught up in the Trump cult. He refused to get vaccinated. He refused to use a mask. He refused to stay home. He got on an airplane. He went to a fucking wedding. I don't know why the fuck they would have a wedding in the middle of a fucking pandemic. Guess what? They're old church people. Right-wing church people. And, he had conditions. He knew it. He didn't want to listen. Bam. It killed him. And then I'm watching through video his funeral service, and the fucking pastor refusing to wear a mask while my dad is there in the casket, dead from COVID. His wife, no mask, refused. Right there as they're burying their loved one, man. His sister-in-law, 2 days after they buried him, they disconnected her respirator, dead from COVID. And they're still saying that it's cause of death. My family, the ones that are on the right wing, wasn't the COVID, that it was his pre-existing condition. It's sad, man. It's sad to see people. Then this guy comes out and says some shit about, when COVID hit. Okay, so now it's not a hoax. So Congress told him, here's this bunch of money so you can get this mask. World Health Organization said, hey man, we got some supplies so you can protect your people. Refused to lock up the country. Hey, we got 15 cases. It's going down to 0. Don't worry about it. Hey, we got 15,000. It's a weak virus. We got 30,000. That'll go away because the heat is coming from the summer. It'll die with the heat. We got 500,000. Now you can inject bleach, shine a light inside of your mouth or up your ass or something, whatever he was saying. It never stopped. This guy contradicting Fauci. And now there's people going after Fauci, the guy the fucking national hero who fought AIDS through the NIH. All of a sudden he's the devil and he needs to be executed. This is Marjorie Taylor Greene and the rest of the lunatics calling for this man to be assassinated. And this is the Republican Christian right wing, the party of family values that they keep saying. Yeah, I just don't get it, man. It guess what? Again, Steve Bannon calling for an open, bloody fucking civil war. The guy who they sent to prison for a few months, they calling for a civil war openly. Calling for violence against their political enemies. And all of a sudden, they're all appalled and blaming the other side because the other side is quote unquote blowing the whole thing out of proportion. Even though the evidence is overwhelmingly showing that democracy in this nation is in peril. You see? That's why they're trying to destroy the education system. They've been doing it for a long time. The Koch brothers have been, because you can, now they're back putting their religion in schools, I'm wondering if when there's going to be a class, what day is going to be the class when they teach our children, 6-7-year-old little babies, or even our high school students, when Lot was escaping Sodom and Gomorrah, and his daughters got him drunk and fucked them so they could get pregnant. That's in the Bible, man. There's a bunch of nasty shit in the Bible. How the God got pissed off at Saul because he wouldn't kill the children and the babies from the Amalek, royal family, because God ordered to kill even the goats, everything, the sheep, everything. There was nothing alive. Scorched earth. The loving God that they preach about. Amalek, the Amalekites. When God ordered the genocide. When God ordered the genocide of everyone and told Noah to build an ark so, to save, some penguins could swim to Antarctica to Western Asia and, all this crap, man. I was just, days like this, I have little faith in that the human species is going to survive. Because if we keep going back to our mythologies as law, there's no stopping. It's a slide that's going down to hell on a speedboat. So and their attacks, they're constant. Now they're blaming, the guy who got convicted of raping a writer at a dressing room at a store, a clothing store or department store or whatever, is in charge of the party that's accusing gay people and Democrats of being child rapists and groomers and the rest of the shit. The guy who did, I don't know why this is not a bigger fucking news. The guy who they just released the documents from the Epstein trials. He's all over the fucking flight logs and appointment books of Jeffrey Epstein. These guys were tight. There was a 12-year-old that was Jeffrey Epstein sex slave, that he trafficked her across everywhere, that accused Donald Trump before the 2016 election of raping her when she was a child, and she dropped the charges because there were so many death threats that she got scared. You understand? These guys are serial rapists, scumbag. This is the guy who said he would fuck his own daughter if she wasn't his daughter. On national TV, in front of everybody. Oh, you didn't say fuck. Date, what? You think Donald Trump is going to date somebody and not fuck him? Are you out of your mind? Stop. It's just horrendous. This is a scumbag. Does he deserve to get shot at? No. Just don't vote for that piece of shit. It's just horrendous, where we're at in the national. And you see people, oh, poor guy, he's a family. He's not a family guy. He's just another scumbag. He got his wife buried in some fucking empty lot behind his golf course with weeds growing around her fucking tomb. The guy didn't give a shit. It's the same guy who instructed his employees to not rent to black people in his federally subsidized apartment buildings. There is no redeeming quality to this person. All of a sudden, we're supposed to be sorry that somebody took a shot at him with an AR-15 that you can buy in a fucking 7-Eleven these days, probably. This is their own making, man. This insanity. You wanted to die. I don't want that. I don't want him to get shot. I don't want him to get elected. But it can't be with violence, because then they'll devolve. See, this is why it's important to study history, accurate empirical history, the one they don't want you to learn about in schools, the Republicans don't want you to learn about, the real history of what really happened in this nation. Every guy that this guy idolizes. By the way, if they're so pro-life, sure as fuck like people dying, because they love the death penalty. They don't give a shit if there's been mistakes in the handling of the case. Just kill him. So, how many people died unnecessarily, because of the horrendous mishandling and the fucking lies, the COVID lies that Trump told everyone, and his followers listened and they went along with their cult leader. It's estimated that's over 400,000 people that if they have vaccinated, if they have used preventive measures, if they have used social distancing, the virus wouldn't have spread as much as it did, and they wouldn't have died. So this guy's negligence and his COVID lies cost the lives of over 400,000 people here in the United States. And I think that's a bad count. And they're still talking about, oh no, vaccines cost the deaths of hundreds of thousands of people. That's not true. Those are lies propagated by the so-called pro-life party. It's not true, man. You guys believe everything that comes out of the mouth of this asshole, you know, and his cult. So, you know, I don't know, man. You know, people say, oh, you can't vote for Biden. Even with his mental decline, and if you saw it, I have another video where I read it. He said, even with his mental decline, I will vote for this guy 30,000 times over. So, because what happens if Biden dies? You got a competent vice president. And here's the other one. That you know, they're openly racist now about anybody who's got a powerful job that's black or Latino or non-white or non-Christian. It's a DEI hire. In other words, they hired them because they were a woman or they were black or they were Puerto Rican or whatever just to fill a quota. Really? Really? Now you're just going to openly say that we're just a bunch of dumb fucks that have no education? Really? Because that's what you're saying. Because that the only reason we got hired for a powerful job, and I say we, minorities, is because of our color of our skin, our nationality, our ethnicity, our religion, blah, blah, blah. Had nothing to do with the fact that we are highly educated. All those people that are hired in those positions, Kamala Harris, she's a super competent and qualified, you know, attorney, prosecutor, senator, highly educated, highly trained, highly experienced. You know, but because she's black, she must be dumb and be hired because of her color of her skin or ethnicity or whatever. That's where they're at right now. Where the Republican Party is at right now. Accusing gay people and LGBT people of being child rapists. Simply because they're gay. Saying, oh, you want us forced? No, nobody's trying to force you. The only reason that it's mentioned is so that when kids grow, they know not to bully people simply because they have two moms or two dads or something like that. That's it. So they got prohibited from being taught in schools that. So, you know, you can talk about your wife all you want if you're heterosexual, but a woman who's got a wife, she can't talk about it and lose her job. So much for First Amendment. So, you know, and I remember Donald Trump with his, you know, when he was openly calling for the assassination of Hillary Clinton. But listen to his speeches. Don't listen to me. Listen to what he said. He said maybe the Second Amendment people can deal with her. That was Donald Trump when talking about Hillary Clinton. So see, you gotta understand that you gotta take, number one, you know, if you can't take it, don't dish it. Number one, okay. So you see them openly calling for the spraying of bullets against people who protest Black lives being murdered by racist police. They openly say it, just spray bullets on them. All right. So, you know, all of a sudden they want to portray themselves as the party of, you know, we're here, we're just Christians, and we're, you know, pro-life and pro-law and order. And it's stop, man. We know what you are, man. You're Nazis. The only difference is now they allow the support of people of color, because you're just being used as a token to say, hey, yeah, bring your votes, you know, because see, we have two black politicians who support us. You know, they're just, and openly they call racist tropes. You know, Scott, the guy, what is it? The guy that ran for Tim Scott, I think it is. You know, that finally he got married, and Trump started joking that using the usual tropes. It's like, well, he finally got married, because that's the usual racist trope that black people are ugly. You see? So they think we don't see it, and then other people that right-wing media, using the term articulate when there's a person of color that can express themselves at a high level, because they're saying for being a black person or a person of color, you're articulate. This is what's going on, man. So I don't know what you guys are going to do, but I'm certainly going to do everything I can, which is vote and continue to voice my concern and continue to criticize the extreme right-wing religious theocrats in this nation. I'll leave you with this. People think that the United States is some type of exception to the rule, which is the famous United States, exceptionalism, American exceptionalism. U.S. exceptionalism is what I call it. American, it's a continent. Again, you're not special. No one is special. I don't care. Rome fell. The examples of failed democracies are a dime a dozen. Democracy is feeble. Democracy is very delicate. And when you start eroding the institutions and you start corrupting, because humans can be corrupted, anybody can be corrupted, but you have to have processes. But it also takes, at the end of the day, people to stop lying to themselves and stop believing the lies that are fed by extremists, authoritarian, especially people who hide behind religion to call themselves good when they're really just human trash. They really are human trash. People say, you're using the term human trash, dehumanizing. No, you're human, you're just acting like trash. The good thing about that is you can stop being human trash and become a decent human being. We can all go down the hellhole and become a piece of shit. But you can also come out of that hole and start being a decent human being again. I don't want this kid. He's just a kid. Barron Trump, he's just a kid. I don't want Don and Eric and Ivanka, the rest of the kids. I don't want them to have to be without their father, even though the man is a piece of shit. Really is. There are other ways to handle this. The other ways to handle this is to vote him out. We still have a little bit of democracy left, and when we vote this person out, we have to go and fix the damage that all these people did. All this damage that these people did. Fix we need term limits on office. You can't have fucking lifetime appointments for any. There have to be cooling off periods for politicians after a certain amount of terms. So that you can't be there 30 years or some shit like that. And people say, what about Bernie? What about Bernie? Hey, it has to apply to everyone. We have to have term limits for everyone. And there can't be people that can't be untouchable. There cannot be immunity for anyone. No one can be above the law like it was just determined that presidents are above the law. You can't have justices of the Supreme Court going around picking up bribes from their donors, while they're supposed to be serving us, the people. You can't have that. You do that, you get thrown in jail like the rest of it. It's corrupt. It's corruption. It has to be illegal. You can't have police policing themselves. You have to have another entities policing them. Okay? We have to stop fucking subsidizing never-ending wars. Eisenhower said it. He said, beware the military established complex. He said it in his farewell address. The God of war, the supreme allied commander of World War II, the God of war himself said it. Now, Eisenhower did a bunch of fucked up shit. All presidents, if you want to see all the fucked up shit presidents have done, go watch it on YouTube. And the old man says, crimes committed by president, and I'm forgetting his name, the linguist, the philosopher who just had a stroke recently. He's an old man by now. but he's still alive. You know, we need to stop this bullshit of financing wars everywhere. Okay? We need to starve out the war machine and take a percentage of, if we just take 10% of that, we can't be, we have 700 bases, military bases, the United States around the globe. The paradigm of sticking a gun, a proverbial gun, as a country and pointing it at your competitors has to stop. This is why China's kicking our ass. Because China, yes, they're a bunch of bullies too, but they do it differently. They'll pull up to Africa, and they're doing it right now. They'll talk to the leader and say, hey, you need infrastructure. You need schools, roads, electrical, transmission and production. You need sewage. You need universities. You need hospitals. Let's do a business. Let's do some business. I need this material that you have under the ground. If I provide you with this, will you let us be in here? We're not going to move a fucking battalion in here. We're just going to move the production. And say, fine, build your roads, get your, are they perfect? No, I mean, they wheel and deal like everybody, but the paradigm of sticking a gun in everybody's face and, threatening people with military action and then, bombing the shit out of everyone who doesn't, follow the script, it has to stop. Because not only does it piss away our resources, it pisses off everybody in the planet. Look what's been happening. We killed 1 million people in Iraq for nothing, simply because Dick Cheney was buddies with George Bush, and they wanted to sell Halliburton's weapons and their services to the military and charge our kids up in Iraq in the sand $100 per laundry load, like they were doing. It's just business. So we need to take out the business incentive of we can't be manufacturing wars so we can spend money on weapons. That's not how it should work. All that money we could be investing. We need doctors. We need philosophers. Because if you think about it and look at the way people argue, philosophy teaches you how to think, how to reason. And without philosophy, what, you think all these governments don't have a philosopher talking in their ear? They're think tanks, thinking and molding public policy at every step. There's a philosopher, there's a group of philosophers behind every war, every attempt for peace. Philosophy is at the base of human action. Before you act on something, you have a philosophy that you act upon in your head, then translate it into action. That's how you live. We need more mathematicians. We need more chemists. We need more engineers. We need more school teachers. We need to get religion out of school. We need more hospitals. We need more colleges. Yes, we need free colleges. We can give free colleges for everyone right now if we cut military spending. We can take care of everyone who's sick right now. If you want to destroy a nation, keep them sick and keep them stupid. They'll destroy themselves. If you study history, just study it. Read what happened to civilizations. And we are on our way down fast because we're not investing in what we need to be investing. We need to stop teaching children that their goal in life should be to go and fight a war somewhere where they have no idea what the fuck they're fighting for or why they're killing people. No. You're fighting so you can keep that bullet firing and they can keep selling bullets to the government because they're buddies and they finance their campaigns. I don't give a shit how many of us our children, which are Latino and black, disproportionately, we're the ones who wear the uniforms to serve. My entire family, all of them, been veterans since before the Civil War. So, it's just, we need to stop the way we're thinking, the way we're acting, the way we're living as a species. It's not just the United States, fascism is not the answer. Fascism is actually one of the worst arch enemies of civilization. It's tribalism at its worst. Uh, so if we don't stop thinking, people say, "Oh, Donald Trump doesn't start wars." And think again. The reason Putin is in Ukraine is because they were buddies, and he knew that Trump wasn't going to do shit when he invaded, or when he was getting ready to invade. Well, did Hillary Clinton fuck up? Absolutely. She should have, she should have fucking fucked up Libya, and So when it comes to foreign policy, the United States always has acted in a fascist manner. Horrendous atrocities. Look at the shit that's going on right now. Fucking genocide. We've financed that genocide for 75 years. Both sides, Democrats and Republicans, will finance genocide of the land theft, the atrocities committed by the Jewish people against the Palestinian people. That's Palestine, all right? So we financed that. We're still doing it, playing politics with it. So when it comes to that paradigm, not just the Democrats need to stop fucking around, with this shit. Stand your ground. If you're gonna name somebody, Ed, go ahead. If you're gonna name someone else, go ahead and name them. Because there's plenty of other people that are highly qualified to run for president. I think they're playing Russian roulette with leaving Biden, but that doesn't mean shit to me. I'm still gonna vote for him. Because the alternative is horrendous. I am not. There's no fucking. And then people say, "Well, I'm just not going to vote." That's like a vote for Donald Trump. Because you understand, this is a cult. You're just not going to lose one vote. Donald Trump is not losing one vote because it's a cult. You have to understand. There is no reasoning behind that. It's a blind cult. And I saw him pumping his fist up, with the bloody ear and stuff like that. He's a showman. He's not going to miss an opportunity to, rile up the troops, fight. They're not losing a vote. Now they're I almost killed him and stuff. It's like, he's been killing people for a long time, man. So think about it. Man. It's just not the solution. Vote. Just vote. Just get out there and vote. And then we'll deal with it's an overwhelming show of force with votes. And then we'll get back to fixing the Supreme Court and fixing, putting term limits and the rest, legislation to protect women's rights, getting back to education, stopping the fucking proliferation of wars everywhere because of the military and industrial complex. Getting businesses out of politics, overturning or just codifying and making it into law that corporations are not people and they can't just, manufacture political action committees and then fucking bribe the shit and finance campaigns of their prostitutes who vote for and then and I'll close you this. This people think, oh, it's just another election. It's not. Now they're talking about, they already did it. Gutting the EPA, destroying the Department of Education, the whole 9 yards. There's indoctrination after indoctrination of what's coming. And there will be no stop into how much corporations can pollute and whatever's left of our planet. And you see people, they're fucking rowing. They're rowing in the flood that the latest climate event caused. They're rowing to the store saying, no, there's no climate change, as their house gets swallowed by the sea. Their beachfront house that used to be 100 yards from the surf is now part of the surf. It's a fucking coral reef, and they're still saying that that's not happening. As we choke in heat. It's just pro-life people that just outlawed laws in Florida to give breaks to workers when they start overheating. This is the pro-life people, man. So we have to defeat these people. Don't stop. Just vote. Just vote them all of them out. All of them. teach them a lesson, you know, because that's all we got. Because if this guy gets elected, I ain't gonna say God help us, because I don't believe there's a God or gods or whatever you want to call it. It's gonna be ugly, man. So go out there and vote.